and welcome to our Stress-Free Holidays Encore presentation. I am here with our third and final Encore panel. We are going to talk about mindfulness and energy healing and tools that can help us to thrive through the holidays. Now, the holidays can be overwhelming, but today's panelists will share some powerful strategies to help you stay grounded, manage stress, and tap into your inner calm. And from mindfulness practices to energy healing techniques, you'll discover tools that can help you to thrive, not just survive this holiday season. So I want to thank everyone for being here, and we can dive in. I want to introduce our amazing panelists. I'll start with Katharina, because I see you on my screen first. Katharina Coons has nearly 3 decades of experience. She blends whole body nutrition, embodied movement, transformative rituals, and meditations to guide others towards vitality and joy. She's the author of The Butterfly Project, The Alchemy of Unbecoming, and she empowers women to shed patterns, embrace their essence, and transform through coaching, workshops, and immersive rituals. Hey, Katharina, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And Leah Fraser is an award-winning integrative health and wellness practitioner and has approximately 350 hours combined of certified professional training in meditation, sound, vibrational sound therapy, Usui, Reiki, mindfulness, and embodied activism and somatics. She received her mindfulness-based stress reduction education from the University of San Diego Center for Mindfulness and is also certified as a master practitioner and instructor for mindfulness. Just recently, in September this year, 2024, Leah became the certified master Reiki teacher. She teaches individuals in North Texas the powerful healing art form of Usui Reiki. So I want to start by asking you both to share a little bit of your story and what brought you to the work that you are doing today. Katharina, I'm going to start with you.
I was a teenager when I was really starting to get curious about the physical body and about what I can do to be in shape and feel even better and more vital. But what I learned along the way is that it's not just how you move and how you eat, it's also how you think, how you feel, and how you perceive. And so even though eating well and exercising, I wasn't feeling well because I hadn't navigated my inner world yet. I haven't accessed those other inner pillars, those other bodies, not just the physical body, but the mental, emotional, and spiritual body as well. And so that began my inner exploration, where I dove into many different modalities of Reiki and yoga and meditation and just a bunch of different things to explore, which has never really stopped. And so the ways that I help my clients is through movement and through nutrition, but I also have created these other umbrellas that really bring in more of that holistic approach. And one of those things is ritual and really coming back to a place of honoring and a place of savoring and a place of deepening our connection to ourselves, others, and the world around us.
Nice. I love that. What I find really interesting, first of all, I commend you because it took me a lot longer to actually understand the inner world and all of that. So I always feel so amazed when people can find that quite young in their life. I think that's great. And it applies to both of you, I think. But also, yeah, it's so important for us to look at all of those aspects. Leah, I'd love to hear your story too.
Yeah, former attorney. and was licensed in several districts, including received my license to practice before the United States Supreme Court 2012. Very stressful, high stress job. It was the first time that I ever knew stress coaches actually existed. And that was probably my introduction to a lot of different things, physically, high blood pressure, just stress, not being able to breathe at times because I do have this very perfectionist personality. And so just being in an environment that exasperated all of those things about my personality, I turned to meditation to release some of the stress and to try to help myself mentally and emotionally get through my job. Fast forward, I left being an attorney to become an entrepreneur. Went from one stressful environment to another one. So I don't know what was going on there. And continued to meditate, had a formal practice. But then, of course, the pandemic hit. And for what I do full time with my PR agency, we were the first call here in Dallas for a lot of the small business owners. And the stress that came along with that did not really provide room for me to take care of myself because we were taking care of everybody else who were hurting. And so at that time, my stress level and my mental health, regardless of my meditation practice, was a little bit out of control. And so I turned back to meditation. There was a studio that was open that I went to several times. And the studio was like, look, you're here every day. You've had a formal practice. Maybe you should teach. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm busy. I don't have time for this. And here we are. So clearly they weaseled me into it. But I love it. It's probably the best thing that I've ever done to learn all the different modalities of meditation, layered on sound. My dad was a professional musician. And so I learned a bunch of instruments coming up. So dive deep into sound healing, Reiki along with that. My Reiki teacher told me I needed to do Reiki. So here we are. And then mindfulness as well, just because I just feel like at the base of everything that we do, to be learning to be present was probably one of the best things that I did for my stress and for my health. And so here we are today. Who knows what I'll do next? I've said no to yoga. So if anybody else wants to be the yoga expert, there's many layers within yoga itself that's in all of these modalities. But as far as actually teaching it, the physical part, that's a no for me. So the buck stops here. But that's how I got here.
Yeah, I think there's a skill, definitely a special skill for yoga instructors, and especially good ones for sure. The holidays can be very overwhelming, and there are so many responsibilities and expectations, especially for women. And I want to understand how mindfulness or intentional practices can help people to manage, especially women, to manage the stress and to find moments of peace so that they don't have to be so stressful. And I will start with Leah on this question.
Fantastic. I think within mindfulness, as I said before, that practice is really centered and rooted in just having this conscious awareness of the present moment. And oftentimes we're being pulled in one or two directions. We're either living in the past or we're living in the future. And that constant back and forth between I got to do this after this, or I got to rush here, or I had a bad day before I reached this point, constantly keeps us in a state of stress. Instead of I'm in the present moment, I'm going to enjoy or be aware of what's around me. And so I think as we think about holiday stress, one of the things that I talk to a lot of people about is just first, just being very honest about where you're at, or it could be a possible trigger. Sometimes the holidays are not good for everyone. And so just being honest as you're entering the situation, how does this present situation make me feel? And so that's being present with your body and being very mindful as to, are there certain individuals that either make me joyful or does it bring my energy down? And taking account of that. Or am I entering into a situation that doesn't necessarily serve me? And so having that type of awareness into your present moment can then tell you how you then need to approach that quote unquote stressful situation, if it is in fact stressful for you, And then you can dictate what I need to do. So if it's, I'm about to spend time with my family, and there's that one individual, there's always that one in everybody's family that's going to drive me over the edge, then there's things that you can do with breath work, or some things that we have talked with folks about, visualization. Don't go into the situation already thinking that it's going to be bad. If you can sit at least in your car for 5 minutes, if you're going to someone else's house, and imagine it actually turning out to be super positive, you walk in with a different state of energy and you can change the situation around you sometimes, right? So there's different things that you can do so it's not as stressful for you. And then finding the little bits of joy while you're there. So is there certain family members that you like to be around? Is there certain things that you like to cook with your family? Doing that to relieve yourself of any of the other stressors that may be around you. And then there's the controversial point of, if it's taking you to a point of where you're outside of yourself and you truly can't be the highest version of yourself, don't go. We don't always have to subscribe to all the traditions that have created the stress for so much of our lives, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of our lives. Give yourself permission. I feel what I feel in this present moment. Doesn't feel so good. I'm going to create my own tradition. I'm going to do Thanksgiving and Christmas my way that brings me joy, and light yourself up that way, and unwind this, I have to do it because I've been told that I have to do it this way. So there's different ways to relieve yourself of stress, but you yourself have to be at the center of it, and you yourself have to be aware of, in this moment, how does this situation or the thought of the situation make me feel, and then find your way to adapt.
Yeah, I really like that about finding your own new traditions that serve you and work for you. I know a few years ago, now my nephew and his girlfriend decided they just wanted to spend Christmas together, and they declined all holiday parties. And it was definitely sent a little ripple through everyone, but everybody respected that was their decision that they had made for themselves. And I don't know if it's become a tradition or not, but at least they told everybody that, hey, this is what we're doing. And everybody did respect what they had asked for. It is up to us to be able to make some of those traditions or change some of them as well. Katharina.
Yes, this time of year, which can be full of, for some people, it can be full of all of the memories and the baking and the get-togethers and all the things, right? And for other people, it can be very difficult, especially if they've lost a loved one, relationship breakdowns, all of them. And it can be hard to navigate when we're trying to put on the happy face. And so my advice in that situation would be, it's not really about doing less. It's about being more present, and being present with yourself first, being present with where you're at today, not where you think you should be, not where you want to be, but where you're at today. And every day, right? Today is different than tomorrow as far as energy levels go. And if we're going through other life stresses, we really need to take that into account. And finding ways to look at triggers as an opportunity to look at something deeper, right? And whatever that trigger might be, and what are responses to triggers, right? Sometimes that response is eating 10 cookies. Sometimes that response is numbing out to Netflix. Some of those, it can be withdrawal. It can be all kinds of things. So just look at what your triggers are. Give yourself grace, first of all. Notice that we give grace to so many people. We're like, hey, don't worry about it. You're going through a hard time. This is really difficult, right? We need to extend that to ourselves first. And then once we've taken that in, then we can re-perspective, right? So I only know the perspective if I'm staying in this lane. And I'm bringing along all those past patterns and conditionings. And what if I could just take on a new perspective? And ways that I do that is through, first of all, aligning my body with a feeling that I want to have more of, right? If during this time it's more peace, it's more calm, remember a time that you felt that way and bring yourself there, all of your senses there. And then once you're there, like, put words to those feelings in your body, right? And it might be like, I feel tingling in my fingertips, and I feel like I feel expansive when I breathe, and I just feel light. And the more that you can bring all of your physical sensations to that, then you start to align your thoughts with that, and you start to live into that with your words. And then next, the piece would be to imagine yourself in the situation you're in right now, already there. And how would you be talking? And how would you be listening? And what would you be doing? How would you be moving? How would you be feeding your body? What kind of conversations would you be having? And start bringing that in from the end in mind. And that can help to start to steer in a clear direction that isn't based on transference, and it isn't based on past experiences that are projecting into the now. And you can give yourself that present moment. And one way to do that is through breath. So you can do one breath, like before you're about to go somewhere and you're feeling that tension, just take one breath to release the tension. And then the next one would be to feel to anchor in the gratitude and appreciation for your life, or the experience of being able to connect, or whatever the situation is. And then the last one would be to embrace the presence. So again, bringing in all of the feeling and embracing it, embracing presence, embracing listening, embracing connection, embracing alignment. So that's how I would re-perspective and bring a new, fresh self to the holiday season.
Yeah, and I want to just, both of you, whether you alluded or you said it right out, talked about the fact that the holidays, we're expected to be happy, expected to be a joyful time, but it isn't for everyone. And that's why we're talking about the stress. But I think when you envision the stress of having, as women, of making sure everybody gets what they want, and then you're running around doing things for everyone else. But I think you guys have already mentioned it, whether specifically or not, that we don't necessarily aren't happy all the time, and we're not always wanting to celebrate. So I think that's a really important thing for people to remember. And when you're in that time when you just really feel like you don't want to celebrate, is there something specific that you can do to bring yourself out of that and feel better? I know you guys have mentioned a lot of things, but Katharina, do you have any other suggestions when you're feeling like that?
Yeah, I think again, it's like coming back to the breath and coming back to the check-in, the self check-in. Because let's face it, if we're forcing ourselves to do something, then we're going to show up and we're not going to bring our best self to the experience. And it's just going to further reinforce that, yeah, see, this sucks and I shouldn't do it. Rather than, and maybe take stock of what you have going on in your schedule for this season and pick the top three. Pick the top three and say no to the rest. You can always change your mind, but just see how it feels by just having those three things on the calendar and nothing else. Let go of perfection. Let go, and that perfection, because we always think, oh, I need to be there and I need to show that XYZ, or I need to, I need to make the best cookie in the world, and I need to make the best turkey in the world, and I need to make whatever. And really that perfectionism is an infection, and it robs us from the present moment. And we're so focused on the things that really don't matter. No one's going to care about a lot of the things that we think matter the most. So pick three things and then bring those three breaths in, right? One breath to just release tension, one breath to come into that gratitude, appreciation, and one to really embody that self, that peaceful self. Look through the lens of that one, because you're also that one too.
I love that, because perfection is something that a lot of people struggle with, is wanting everything to be perfect. I know recently we were doing a presentation and our slides did, for whatever reason, somebody messed up and all the slides didn't have all the pictures on it. At the end of the day, nobody cared. The only person who cared was me, because I knew what I wanted it to look like. And nobody else knew what it was supposed to look like except me. So just a good way to give yourself grace. Leah, how you can.
I concur with everything that Katharina has said. I'll go back to what she had mentioned earlier, just about really extending yourself that grace, because there's a lot of stress that we put on ourselves and pressure to, this is how it's supposed to be. Or maybe you're walking into a situation and you are the person that does 50 million things for the family, but letting yourself know, hey, I'm valid in how I feel. If this doesn't make me feel good, acknowledging that it doesn't make you feel good and giving yourself the grace to feel the way that you feel. Sometimes we're like, oh, is something wrong with me because this makes me feel awful and everybody else feels good about it? No, maybe they're not all just telling the truth and being truthful with themselves. And so, to her point as well, if you're going to be doing those exercises to try to bring yourself back to center, one of the things that I do oftentimes with a lot of my clients that are the ones that always give but don't receive, as they're doing that breath work, I always invite them to incorporate that sense of touch, even if it is just your hand over your heart and you feeling your warmth from your hand to your heart. It's almost as if this is symbolic of you caring for yourself in this moment. So even as you're taking that breath in and you're bringing that peace into the body, having that present feeling of connection to, I'm feeling my warmth, I'm feeling the love, I am taking care of myself. It's a very beautiful thing to be able to nurture and do it in a very gentle and kind way. If somebody's feeling like, I feel a little funky, I'm doing the breathing and it's still not getting me to where I want to be, try just placing that one hand over the heart, or maybe I always do both hands. And that helps to ground me immediately. But it's also, again, being very gentle, loving, and compassionate with you and saying, hey, you're good. It's okay. You're allowed to feel how you feel. Let's see how we can get you back to center. Another thing that I thought that was important that Katharina brought up too was, as you're taking that breath in, just visualizing what you want to bring into the body. And so I think with that piece, the key there is intentionality. So you can breathe normally, or you can be intentional with your breath. I intend to bring in peace, or I intend to bring in stillness, or I intend to bring in compassion. Whatever it is that you need in that moment, you can intentionally breathe it and send it throughout the body to then level set, or attempt to level set yourself out. So intentionality for what you need is very key, instead of just, okay, I'm inhaling in, I'm exhaling out, it's not working for me. No, be very intentional about what you need and then bring that into the body. Exhale and then relieve any stress or heaviness that you may be feeling, and imagine it leaving the body on the out breath.
And I would like you guys to address, if you're new to all of this, how do you get started? Because it's one thing to say to pay attention to these things, but if you're new to it or you haven't been practicing it, sometimes it's not so easy to pay attention and to be mindful if you're not used to being that way. Leah, sorry.
That's okay. Again, I'm just going to go back to some of the things that we've already discussed, which is, first off, give yourself grace. We watch everybody else around us. Oh, I see so-and-so on Instagram and TikTok, and they meditate for 30 minutes or an hour. It is a practice. So just as you would work out and you would go to the gym and you would make time for that, when you're building a mindfulness and a meditation practice, that is your mental workout. And so at first, yes, our minds, because we consume so much information and with social media and the things that are thrown at us throughout the day, and we have been trained to be very capitalistic, and we work and we work and we work. You got to imagine you didn't get there overnight. And so you're not going to be mindful overnight. It is a practice that is very consistent. And so with that, I would suggest for folks, try just 5 minutes a day. And one of the misnomers too with that 5 minutes, people think it means, oh, if I'm going to be mindful, I need to go sit on a cushion. I need to be in lotus pose. No, you can say it's a beautiful day outside and I'm going to walk my dogs, or I'm going to be with my cats, as we all are, and I'm going to leave my phone on silent and I'm not going to take it out of my pocket. But on this 5 minutes, I'm going to be very mindful, paying attention to all the things that are around me. I'm actually going to feel the breeze on my skin. I'm going to see, what do I smell? What do I hear? And just doing that for 5 minutes, you don't have to sit on a cushion. That intimidates a lot of people. You can be mindful in your walking. We do mindful eating. So anybody that, that has done mindful eating knows the raisin exercise, where you take the raisin, you feel the raisin, like, what do you feel? Oh, I feel these grooves. Okay, put the raisin in your mouth, but don't chew it right away. We naturally salivate. We want to chew the raisin. But and then you begin to taste things and your senses are heightened and aware to things that you weren't before. But that's just 5 minutes, and you can grow that to 30 minutes, an hour at a time. And you're training your mind that I'm going to be present with these very things. Eating, I'm going to be present with my walking, with my exercise. And then if you want to sit and you want to do it as a meditation, you're free to do that as well and be mindful with your breathing. But again, our minds will race. So when you're doing mindfulness, one of the caveats is to do it non-judgmentally. So you're acknowledging and giving yourself grace that my mind's going to do that, but I'm going to bring it back to the breath as my anchor, and I'm going to keep bringing myself back to the present moment. But there's different ways to do it. So start 5 minutes and then work your way up and decide which level of mindfulness resonates with you. If mindful walking it is, do your meditation walking. If it's mindful eating, do mindful eating. If it's mindful breathing, do mindful breathing. We have mindful listening. Put on a sound bath and just listen to the sounds. There's different layers to it, but there's something for everybody.
Nice. Katharina.
I love that. Yeah, just sharing a different perspective of what Leah's sharing. And one of the things, same thing about, it doesn't have to be you sitting on a cushion, right? All these traditional ways of stillness and meditation, there's so many ways to do that. And walking meditation, as you mentioned, and even with a walking meditation, it's like you feel your heel strike and your toe strike, and you feel your foot hit the ground, and you feel the breeze, and you hear the birds, and you all of that. You bring yourself to the senses, and know that we are thinking beings. Those thoughts, we have a ridiculous amount of thoughts every day. I can't even, it's like 200,000 or something like that. It's a lot of thoughts. And just know that those thoughts are going to come and go. All you need to do, thinking, just label it, thinking, and then just come back to either following your breath. If you want to sit down or lay down, you can follow the breath in and feel all the sensations in your body, feeling your chest expand and then feeling your belly expand. Most of us are very shallow breathers, and we're not even used to feeling our body do anything. So intentionally fill, starting with letting that chest fill first, and then the belly falls, and then the chest falls. Start to breathe into the side body where you're trying to fill yourself out this way. And the imagination is powerful. Bring your imagination with you. So imagining that I'm breathing into every cell of my body. I'm breathing in light and healing, and imagining that twirling and swirling in the cells and clearing out anything that needs to be released as toxins, clearing out old energy, clearing out old patterns and behaviors that aren't serving me. Just whatever that is, bring it into your physical body, feel it in your body. And everyone can do that, right? That's how we get connected to ourselves. That's how we start to learn to how our body speaks to us. We are all tapped into that. We all have the ability, but we haven't been practicing. If it's something that's new to you, give yourself just some time to explore. Get curious about what it means to be you, because no one ever has, no one ever will be. Only you get to be you. And when you really get that, everything changes.
And that
Everything becomes a gift. Everything becomes incredible, even the hard stuff.
and that comes with practice.
Mm-hmm.
As you were speaking, I was thinking, just noticing when your mind is active and having non-judgment. The fact that you're noticing that your mind is racing is a form of mindfulness.
Yeah.
Awareness, right?
Yeah.
Have to start somewhere.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now, when it comes to the mind racing, because you already said it, have so many thoughts. I know that there are people when they're meditating or when they're trying to really feel very discouraged by their mind, the fact that their mind is racing and they can't seem to shut off their mind. What would you say to that person? And I'm good for either one. No, we'll start with Katharina because you were
How to
last.
shut the mind off?
Yeah, because I've seen it myself, not myself, but other people really get discouraged and feel that there's something wrong with them when they cannot or have a hard time shutting off their.
And again, I think it comes back to recognizing that the attempt to shut off the mind, right? We can reach a state of more peace within, and we can reach that state of calm where we feel present and we don't feel like we're completely taken away. Like there's all varying degrees of that, right? There are people who are like not even in their bodies. And then there's people who are not present to the experience that they're having. They're like, where's lunch? And I got to be doing this. I'd rather be doing that. All of these things, right? So there's many different layers of that. So it's just, first of all, having an awareness. Like if you could just plop yourself on the ceiling and watch yourself, right? From the place of non-judgment, from that place. And I call it really our higher self. So the one inside that internal compass that always knows. So from that perspective, can we see what we're actually doing in that? If we're not shutting down the mind, or if we're not able to be present and still have those thoughts, like we already have talked about, those thoughts don't always necessarily go away. But if we can have an awareness to the degree of the distraction, right? And why do I need distraction? Because that distraction is serving me in some way. So it's really just coming into the truth and asking deeper questions to yourself, knowing that you're not misbehaving, you're not doing anything wrong, right? This isn't something that we're taught. This is something we seek out to find help. So that comes back to that grace again. And then feeling in the body, right? My theme for this year is afterglow. And afterglow is the crescendo of things. We don't often let ourselves like bask in anything. We don't even let ourselves arrive because we set a goal. And then when we get close to it, we've already set the next thing. We never arrive. So can we just allow ourselves to come into pleasure, especially women? That's our potency. If we can feel pleasure, we can feel present. We can bring ourselves and our gifts as the feminine to the world. We're not meant to be always driving, right? The masculine energy. And we have masculine and feminine energy in us, whether you're male or female.
Yeah.
And for me, and we have mostly been living in a masculine world. So a lot of us women are used to being like the driving power of gotta do it. But we need to come into the place of pleasure and being more often. That will alleviate a lot of the stress that we feel in trying to be masculine energy all the time.
Oh, I love that. You're going into a place now.
Yes.
Leah, you got to add to that.
I agree on a lot that was said. We typically, it's like we want this microwave approach to everything. I'm attempting this thing. I want to arrive. I want to be it. To Katharina's point, not being present for the journey. So it's like, why are you doing it? To set the next goal and stress yourself out, and not giving yourself the kudos for how far you've come, and then being there with it for every little step of the way. So even in this meditation and mindfulness journey, setting these goals of I'll reach enlightenment when I can stop getting my mind raced. And it's no, you have people who've been doing this for years that sometimes enter into a meditation and go through the same thing. It is not a race. It is not something you check off and now you're good. It's going to happen. That's just how our bodies are designed. So if somebody is getting frustrated, again, not judging yourself, giving yourself grace. But I love the technique that was brought up before, that noting technique, that when it is, you're just noting, thinking. Or sometimes there's certain mindfulness meditations where you actually label the thought. Oh, that thought's heavy. That thought is light. But allowing it to come and go. But if it's going to be bringing up those thoughts, you just labeling it. And now you're present with the thoughts that are coming. And if it's the same one coming, okay, this one keeps reoccurring, heavy thought. And it gives you perspective into what's actually taken over your life. And so that would be my suggestion. But again, folks do that, whether it's mindfulness or visualization or breath work. We are just wired to want to microwave ourselves into the next level instead of just really just enjoying the practice for what it is and what it's doing for our lives and taking it slow. So
yeah, it's so important. I went on my own personal transformation journey, and a lot of the people around me would practice meditation, and it took me a while. That I knew I should do it, but it took me a while to actually put it into practice and doing it on a regular basis. But a lot of the people that I know within the community really struggled with doing it because it was like, am I doing it wrong? And my understanding is it's really a personal experience. There's no right or wrong way to meditate. I don't know. You guys are both shaking your head. I don't know if you have any comments around that.
It's like I previously said before, like we tend to box ourselves into these stipulations that make it much harder and more stressful than what it is. Someone may want to do walking meditations. Others may want to create the very beautiful sacred space within their homes, and that's how they want to meditate. Somebody may do it for 5 minutes, for 30 minutes. I'm just happy when people do, you know. So we have these very unrealistic expectations that we place on ourselves that are completely unnecessary. Now, I do disagree that there's no right or wrong way. You can do it in your own way, but particularly if we're doing a sitting meditation, of course, we would want you to have the right posture because certain postures keep you into the meditation versus others that will allow you to fall asleep. If you're doing a sound bath meditation, there is a right and a wrong way because oftentimes people fall asleep. You're not supposed to fall asleep. You're supposed to be mindfully listening. So I often go back and forth with that. Yes, make it your own, but you do want to try to have the posture so you can have the proper breathing and you can meditate properly, I would say, so that you're not falling asleep or, again, allowing the mind to race without bringing it back.
Okay, I stand corrected as the definitely.
I don't want to say that
No,
my
it's
way is right. I'm saying, like, I always tell folks, like, don't get bogged down. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Make it your own. The only thing that I tend to go back and forth with folks on is over the posture. Because if you don't have the right posture for especially if you're doing longer sits, if you're doing a 30, 45-minute, hour-long sit, you've got to find a posture that works for you, but that keeps you erect so that you're not falling asleep. Because if you're asleep, you should have just went to sleep. You're not necessarily meditating. The
right.
brain waves are in two different states at that point. So that's the only kind of pseudo argument that I tend to go back and forth with folks about. Other than that, make it your own.
Yeah, I like that. I appreciate that comment. Katharina, anything to add?
Just expanding again what Leah was sharing, and I can liken that to personal training and to working with clients where it's like you can go through the motions, you can do the thing, but your mind might be in Hawaii or what's for lunch. If you can bring all of yourself and your whole body and your mind, right? So my workouts tend to be 20 minutes. So when I'm in it, I become the muscle. And I, in this case, become the breath that's going to now occupy your thoughts, right? So if I am exercising and I become, and the breath is the vehicle of transformation, it is what's actually bringing everything together. And if I am isolating and if I am present to what's actually happening, I'm going to have tenfold results. So it's the same thing if I'm going to give 5 minutes to meditation, or if I want to do a longer practice and I want to bring myself to the experience. And that's where you might want to try some different things to see what really is helping you, not necessarily choosing the easiest thing just because it's easy, but finding something that is a vehicle for you to move more into a different version of yourself that you haven't experienced yet. You still get to take along all the good things that you love, right? It's just about, yeah, a fresh perspective. Use the breath as that. Become the breath.
All right, so this is the first time we've talked about 10xing our experience. I like that. Maybe that's not the intention, but if we can be more, like you said, present, then
So we can 10x the peace. We can 10x the calm.
yeah, that is a good thing for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
so I want to end this to give you both an opportunity to talk about I'm guessing I know what you guys are going to say, but hopefully you can come up with something else, maybe that or re-emphasizing what we've already talked about, or maybe something else with one simple thing that you can do and start doing right away to help with the stress and alleviating the stress. And also let us know what your free gift is for the audience. And just for the audience to know that as part of the email that you're getting so that you can watch this, the free gifts are also included there so that you can enjoy the free gifts. Leah, I'll let you start to do your final wrap up and your final advice to our audience.
Okay. So one thing that they could do, we talk a lot about the breath, and I love that we have, because I always tell folks everything starts and ends with it. It's the most important foundation that you can have. But also for many people, especially if we're talking about our stressors, I always like to encourage people to explore creating their sacred space. There has to be a place, even if it's not within your home, it could be outdoors or wherever, where you feel like this is the place where I can truly grow my practice, where I can work on myself, meditate, do yoga, whatever it is, and truly become the best version of me. I have a place like that here. I have a ritual. So we talked about rituals earlier too, where I light incense every single morning. I like to place oils on my hands and breathe that in, and just creates this sense of calm. I like to be surrounded by plants. So figuring out from this moment forward, going into 2025, like how can you create a space that's sacred for you, that encourages you to move into your calm sense of practice? And then what ritual would you create with that, that brings you into that centering, grounding piece? Our environment is just as important as the practice. It amplifies the practice. Being able to do that, whether that's within your home or, like I said, if it's a space outdoors, is very important. My freebie is I have a free inner peace guided meditation. So we've talked a lot about that today. So if you're feeling stressed out, just listen to the meditation. It should get you going. And with that, also gives you free access to my Sacred Serenity Circle Group, where we do just as what Debbie is doing, bringing in those experts where you can ask them these questions. I bring in therapists. I'm not a doctor, so ask the therapist. We do retreats domestically, internationally, so it's a really great nurturing space with like-minded people.
I love that. That's really nice. And the idea of having a sacred space, I think, is so important. And I've really learned that we need to clear the negative energy. So when my place is cluttered and disorganized, I'm going to feel the stress more. And I might not think I'm feeling it, but I am feeling it. And so having that sacred space, maybe it's with your kitties, I don't know. I think it's really important. So that's a great tip. Katharina.
Yes, I was going to I share also about creating ritual. And creating ritual is potent, right? It's taking ordinary experiences and making them extraordinary. We're implanting an intention onto it, right? It could be your morning coffee. It could be your morning stretch before you get out of bed. A very simple, and people talk about this all the time, and that's nothing new, but gratitude, right? 3 things that you're grateful for first thing in the morning, because it's going to get you into a state and a vibrational energy that's going to attract more things that you can be grateful for. A ritual could be every time you turn on the light in your bedroom, right? You're illuminating peace. Or you turn on the light in your kitchen and you're illuminating health and vibrancy, right? Lighting a candle, very simple, but lighting a candle with an intention, right? So it might be you come home from work and you light a candle and you do your 5 minutes then. And really acknowledge that flame, that fire, that passion inside of you, and see where you're at with that. Have you distinguished your fire? Have you been stoking your fire? Right? And that ritual piece is really beautiful. I have a ritual every Christmas that I have these wish ribbons that I tie to the tree, and everybody that walks in the door writes a wish for 2020. In this case, it'll be 2025 for themselves, for another, for the planet, for whatever. And then my husband and I and our daughter, we go out on the first full moon after Christmas and we read them all out and we tie them to our apricot tree and we let the wind carry them away until the spring when leaves start to bud, right? Those things that are so deeply meaningful. We have people at our table. We hold hands around the table. It doesn't matter if it's the first time they've ever been here. And I just express gratitude for the life energy that we're all sharing right now. And then I share gratitude that's nourishing our souls. And then this beautiful food that's about to nourish our bodies. It's just acknowledgement, a recognition, appreciation, creating a ritual. Yeah, it makes life. And my book that I wrote, The Butterfly Project, The Alchemy of Unbecoming, it's really about how do we take these experiences in our life and honor them and recognize that it, regardless of how painful it may have been, has helped us to become who we are today. Mm-hmm. And then we can consciously unbecome what's not us anymore and use that as alchemy for what we want to create and who we are becoming and start future living that. So living from that arriving, right? How would you be eating, sleeping, moving, talking if you were already there? But you got to get familiar with how you want to feel first. So in my book, I have rituals after each section and a ritual kit that you can also match with it. I'm just creating the program for it right now. But that's how powerful ritual is. And it doesn't have to be woo, and it doesn't have to be complex either. So, yeah. And my offer is I have a reperspective meditation. I was talking earlier about reperspectiving, coming into your life with a new perspective. So I have a meditation for you that's available that you can listen to at any time. It's all guided visualization. And I also have my body temple blueprint because I have a page of my offerings and they're both on there. So you have access to both of them. So the body temple blueprint masterclass is really going to help you to connect to your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical bodies. As you build your body temple, it's all of those things. It's not just what you physically see. And so having that solid foundation, which is your willingness, and your roof, which is your values and your priorities and how you're living those out into the world. So those are my 2 free offers. So enjoy them.
And there's no reason now, I was going to say no excuse not to try the meditation, to try to bring on some kind of a new ritual. And you're right, it doesn't have to be anything hard or difficult or complex. But I think what it is it's intentional, right? You're being really intentional about how you're proceeding through the world. And I think that's my word for 2024 is what I've learned is be intentional. And I want to thank both of you for your time today. This was very enlightening. And I love hearing all about this kind of stuff and how we can really, I guess it's a way of caring for ourselves and making sure we're nourishing ourselves first. Because I think as women, we tend to want to nourish the whole world and forget about ourselves. So thank you both very much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Debbie. It was an
you.
honor. And Leah, it's great to share this space with you and hear your wisdom.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Zane, Katharina, and Debbie.